So should you do booth rent or should you do commission as a beginner barber that's just starting out in a barbershop? What do? Do you go to the shop that's going to charge you X amount of dollars every week for booth rent? Or instead, do you go to a spot where they're going to charge you 60-40 split in commission? Before we talk about that though, I just want to mention that we just dropped a new hat in the barber store, so make sure you go pick this one up. It says, "I should be your barber." And when you're in the store, you're gonna see there's a whole bunch of cool hats and cool shirts. I actually got this on a shirt too. So if you're a barber that really wants to market and promote yourself at all times, yo, go ahead and make sure you pick up this hat, pick up a few shirts, and turn yourself into a walking billboard. Now, the common path of the barber, or at least the most accepted path of the barber in our industry, is that you should start at a commission-based shop, build up your clientele, and then do your best to get on booth rent at that shop. And if that don't work, then you say, you know what? I don't want to do this commission thing no more. I'm leaving and I'm going to go to a shop where they charge me booth rent. But here's what I want you to understand. The question of should you do booth rent or should you do commission can just be such a surface level question, bro. There's just a lot more that you probably should think about. For example, if I were to say to you, if you give me $150 a week, I will give you $1,000 in return. Or you could give me $500 a week and I'll give you $2,500 in return. Which one are you gonna do? Choice A or choice B? Now, if we're basing this choice off of strictly how you're gonna make the most money, most rational people are gonna say the second option, right? You're gonna give me $500 and in return, I'm gonna give you $2,500. But then for some reason, when it comes to barbering and working in a barbershop, a lot of times we just look at that initial number and make our decisions based on that initial number. And what I mean is, when I say to you, would you rather give me $150 a week or would you rather give me $500 a week? Most barbers just let their thinking stop there and it's like, well shoot, I'm gonna do the 150. Why would I do the 500? That's just stupid. But it's like, bro, you got to give yourself more information so that way you could make a more sound decision. For example, if I were to ask you, would you jump out of a plane with no parachute for $100,000? By yourself, no parachute. You jump out the plane, I'll give you $100,000. Would you do it? Now, most people are gonna hear that and say, what, Marv? Would I jump out of a plane with no parachute? Just me. Bro, I don't care if you give me $1 million. I ain't jumping out of a plane with no parachute, bro. What are you thinking? That's how most people are gonna respond. In fact, that's probably how you responded when you first heard me ask you that question, right? But what if I were to tell you that that plane was on the ground? Now what do? Do you jump out of that plane? Would you jump out of a plane with no parachute if the plane was on the ground for $100,000? Of course you would, right? But see, the thing is, when I first asked you if you jump out of a plane all by yourself with no parachute for $100,000, would you do it? If you're like most people, your initial response was like, hell no, Marv. But what I'm trying to get you to understand is that you have to ask more questions, get more information before you just make a decision. So when I asked you if you would jump out of a plane all by yourself with no parachute for $100,000, your next question should have been, well, is the plane in the air or is the plane on the ground? And at that point, you would have found out that the plane was on the ground. And then you would have been like, yeah, of course, Marv, I'll jump out the plane with no parachute for $100,000. It's on the ground, bro. So I use that as an example to try to get you to understand that when it comes to making decisions, you can't just let them be so surface level. You got to dig a little bit deeper. So the question of should you do booth rent or should you do commission when you're a barber just starting out, it's not just like a black or white thing. Like, bro, never do commission. You're going to be paying the owner a lot more money than if you do booth rent. We have to dig a little bit deeper. I remember one time I was at a barbering event and I was sitting at the table with two barbers, and one of the barbers was asking me a question. He said, yo, Marv, do you think me paying $500 a week in commission is too much? Now, as soon as the other barber sitting at the table heard that, he goes, hell yeah, bro, you're getting robbed. Why are you paying the owner that much? That's ridiculous. I would never do that. So at that point I said, well, you know what? Let's get some more information. So I asked the barber that said they would never pay $500 a week in commission what they were doing. And he goes, well, I pay $150 a week in booth rent. And I'm like, okay, well, how much do you make a week in the shop that you work at? And he's like, well, after paying booth rent, I make anywhere between like $800 to $1,000 a week. I said, okay, cool. So what does the $150 a week give you? And he's like, well, it just lets me cut hair when I want. Like I get to pick my own hours, make my own schedule. I get a key to the shop. I'm renting the space. So I'm like, all right, cool. So you pay $150 a week. You make it anywhere between $800 to $1,000 a week after you pay your booth rent. And what you get in return for paying that $150 a week is key to the shop so you can work the hours you want to work, make your own schedule, that type of stuff, right? And he goes, yeah. So then I asked the barber that told me they were paying $500 a week in commission. I said, well, how much are you making a week after after paying the $500 in commission? And he goes, well, in total, I average anywhere between $2,000 and $2,500 a week that I clock in the system. So after I pay the commission, which usually ranges anywhere between like $400 or $500, I walk away with at least $1,500 a week. And most of the time it's around like $2,000. So I go, okay, so you're paying $500 a week in commission, but you're making anywhere between $1,500 and $2,000 a week. And he goes, correct. So then I go, well, what else comes with your commission? Does the shop offer anything else? And he goes, well, actually, I'm here at this event because my shop owner bought my ticket and he paid for all my expenses to come to this event, me and a couple of the other barbers. So I'm like, that's dope. He paid for y'all to come to this event? And he's like, yep. So I'm like, that's fire. And he goes, yeah, man, he actually does a lot of stuff like that. He'll buy us equipment from time to time. We never have to pay for cool care or anything like that. He covers like all of the small expenses in the shop. So I'm like, that's what's up. So then I asked, well, how is it working in the shop? Is the vibe good? How are the other barbers? And he's like, I love it there, man. I love working with the people I work with. I look forward to going to work every day. It's a really great spot. I'm just wondering if I'm just paying too much in commission. So at that point, I took a step back, right? And I've reflected on it and I'm thinking like, here we got two barbers sitting at this table. One's paying $150 a week in booth rent. The other one's paying $500 a week in commission. And because the one barber's paying $150 a week in booth rent, he thinks he's in a better spot than the other barber who's paying $500 a week in commission. Which is crazy when you think about it, because for the $150 he's paying a week, he's only making anywhere between $800 to $1,000 a week. And the shop really ain't providing anything else aside from the fact they're giving him a spot to cut hair at and give him a key to the shop so he can go in and out as he pleases. Whereas the other barber, even though he's paying $500 a week in commission, bro, his owner is buying plane tickets and tickets to events for his barbers to go to, paying for some of the expenses, some of the things that he needs to operate on a day-to-day basis as a barber, and he's just getting a lot more from the barber shop than the barber who is paying $150 a week in booth rent is getting from their barber shop. But yet the barber that's paying $150 a week thinks he's winning, and the barber that's paying $500 a week is getting robbed and needs to find a new shop. And it's like, nah, unfortunately for you, bruh, in the battle of who's got it better right now, the barber that's paying more per week in commission is definitely winning. So I share that story with you because I want you to understand that it's a lot deeper than just simply asking, should you do booth rent or commission when it comes to the shop that you're going to work at. The better question to ask yourself is, where am I going to get the most value? Where am I going to learn the most? Where am I going to be the happiest to go work at? Where am I going to enjoy working at the most? Where is the most opportunity for growth going to be at? Those are the type of things you got to think about. Don't be the barber that's just trying to save a few dollars every week, because what you'll do is you'll find yourself putting yourself in positions that aren't the best case scenario. Bro, believe it or not, there are barbers that will literally leave a shop because the booth renter wants to go up $10 a week in booth rent, or go to a shop down the street that's charging $25 less a week, not factoring in anything else other than how much they'd be paying in booth rent. And it's just not the smartest approach, man. So don't be that barber. Think a little bit. Think. And whatever route you choose to go, just make sure it makes the most sense for your path, for your growth, for your evolution as a barber. And just make sure that you're putting yourself in a situation where you're giving yourself the best opportunity to be successful. Barbers! Can I get it one time? Let me hear your best. Barbers! Jump the collar with me. Can I get a Barbers?